STAR study guide for Algebra 1. Turn to this page. This is where the homework starts. So let's see. Number 1 says Sam needs to earn $175 for his summer football camp. He already has $55 and plans on doing extra chores for a neighbor for $5 an hour. Which quantity represents the independent variable? The question is asking for independent variable. Now, since we're dealing with money, we always have an equation. Let's start off with that. 175, and on the left side, he already has 55, and it says that he's getting paid $5 an hour. So every hour, he's getting paid $5. So 5 per hour. Every time you see the word per, that lets you know that number goes next to the x. So this is our equation. 55 plus 5x equals 175. Now if we want to solve for x, the first thing we have to do is subtract 55, both sides. This goes to 0. 175 minus 55 is 120. And we just bring down 5x. Now from here, we have to divide out 5, divide out 5. We're left with x equals 120 divided by 5 is 24. Alright. And in our situation here, it says that Sam is earning money. So this x represents the number of hours that he needs to work to make that $175. Now in the questions, it's asking which quantity represents the independent variable. The independent variable is our x. And we just said that x represents our hours. So A says that the amount of money, so no, that's not correct. The number of hours, that's correct. The amount of money, again, not correct. And the type of chores, not correct. The answer would be B. Alright, moving on, number 2. It says a local baker makes two kinds of bread dough every day, French and whole grain. She makes 3 times as much whole grain dough as French dough. Which graph best illustrates this relationship? So what this is saying is that each time French and whole, she makes 3 times as much whole grain dough as French dough. So if she makes 1 French dough, she makes 3 times as much. So 1 times 3, 3. If she makes 2 French dough, then she would make 3 times as more. So 2 times 3 would be 6. If she makes 3, 3 times 3 is 9, so it would be 9 whole grain dough. Now if we look at our graphs, which one has this type of relationship? Look at the first one. If we make 1 French dough, it's telling us here that we make 1 whole grain, which is not correct. We're looking for 3. That's not correct. This one here, if we make 1 French dough, then this is less than 1. Not correct again. This one again, 1 French dough, even less than 1. Not correct. And this one here, if we make 1 French dough, then we make 1, 2, 3 whole grain. That's our answer. Number 3. Which of the following sets of ordered pairs cannot represent a function? So if you are looking at a table and you're trying to describe a function, one of the conditions that needs to happen is that the x values for every different x value, you need to have a different y value. So, for example, if you had a table such as this, 1, 2, 3, and you had 1, that. Let's make that a 2 as well. So if you had a table such as this one, where the x values is 2, 2, and 3, and our y values associated with those x values is 1, 3, and 2, you see here we have the same x value, 2, but they have different x values. Sorry, different y values, 1 and 3. So once you see that kind of thing, then it cannot be a function. So let's see if we see something like that in the answer choices. So first, let's look at our x values. Here we have 1, 3, 5, and negative 2. They're all different, and the y value is negative 2, 0, 0, and 1. Now here, even though this 0 and this 0 is the same number, it's a different x value. So that's perfectly fine. The type of thing that we're looking for is the same x value with a different y value. So that's okay. This one has negative 1, 3, 5, and 8. Different x values, 5, 5, 5, and 5. Now, again, even though it's the same y value, the x values are different. So that's okay, that's fine. H is negative 3, 2, 2, and 4. Now here we have the same x value, 2 and 2, and the y values is negative 1 and 5. Those are two different y values for the same x value. So we have this same kind of situation that we have here. Let's check the other one, see if that's correct. Negative 6, negative 2, 1, and 4. Different x values, and the y values, perfectly fine. That's your answer. That one cannot be a function. Again, the reason is because the same x value, 2 and 2, they have a different y value. Number 4. Jose is making wooden picture frames to give to his family for his birthday. The table shows the relationship between the number of minutes m that Jose works and the number of frames f that he completes. Which equation best illustrates the functional relationship between those quantities? So let's see what the difference between our m values is. From 45 to 60, it's the difference 15. From 60 to 90, 30, and from 90 to 15, it's 10, 25. From here to here, it's 0.5, 0.1, sorry, 1. And from here to here, it's 5, 6. Let's see if that helps us. So I don't think that's going to help us, but let's see. Let's look at our answer choice. If we look at F, if we put in 45 for M, and it's supposed to equal F plus 30, plus 30. 1.5 plus 30, and it gives us 31.5, which is not equal to 45. That's not correct. Let's try H. 45 equals 90 minus F, which is 1.5. 90 minus 1.5 is 88.5, which does not equal 45. That's not correct. G says that F, let's try this one too. 2 equals 2 times M, which is 60, plus 30. 2 times 60 is 120, 30. 120 plus 30 is 150. 150 does not equal 2. That's not correct. Let's see about F. F is 2 equals 60 divided by 2. 60 divided by 30, sorry. 60 divided by 30 is 2. 2 does equal 2. Let's check another one just to make sure. F is 3. Let's try this 3 and 90 pair. 3 equals 90 divided by 30, which equals 3. So that's correct. Your answer is J. Number 5. Number 5 says the amount of money that Joe makes washing dogs is shown in the scatter plot. If the pattern continues, about how much will Joe make if he washes 10 dogs? Here, if the pattern continues, so essentially what it's asking if this continues to go straight up, as it's doing, how much will he make if he washes 10 dogs? Here. So if the trend continues and he washes 10 dogs, you see that Joe should make about this much. Now if it was $10, that would be right here. That's not correct. It's $50, just above here. Getting closer, but not quite. $70, right about there. And if we extend this line, it should reach about there. So that seems correct. And if it's 150, that's a bit too much. It's more than half of this. It's actually double. So that's not correct. So the answer is C. All right, moving on. Number 6. The Theo's family is driving to the store at an average speed of 65 miles per hour. So for that, that's even important. So far, they've driven 140 miles in the function f of x equals 65x plus 140. F of x is the total distance they will travel. What does x represent? So remember, every time you see the word per, that will be the number that goes next to our x. And he's already driven 140 miles. If we combine that, it should give us our function. So our 65 miles per hour, what this is telling us is that for every hour, he drives 65 miles. So if it was 2 hours, he would have driven 65 times 2 plus 140 is 5 times 2 is 130 plus 140 is 270. So here our x represents the number of hours he's driven. So A says the speed at which he's traveling, no. The hours that remain for the trip, not quite. The number of 65-cent tolls they must pay, no. Then the total number of hours they will spend traveling. That is correct. Number 6 is D. All right, number 7. Jason is reading a novel for English class. This graph shows the number of pages read as a function of the amount of time spent reading. Which statement represents a possible interpretation of the situation? So here our x-axis is time spent and our y-axis is pages completed. So let's read through our answer choices. A says the more time Jason spends reading, the more pages he completes. So if we go more out here, then it should be higher up here. So that seems legitimate. Let's see what B says. Jason begins reading at a slow rate, then starts to read at a faster rate. Now, it doesn't quite tell us anything about the rate of which he reads or the rate of which the pages he reads, so that's not quite correct. C says Jason begins reading at a fast rate, then starts to read at a slow rate. Again, nothing about the rate at which he reads. And then D says Jason reads the same number of pages every time he picks up. Now, if this was true, then our line should look something like this. For every hour or minute, however long he spends reading, it should be the same number of pages that he's read, which would mean that he's not really progressing whenever he reads. So D is not correct. A is our correct answer. Number 8, what is the rate of change represented by this graph? Rate of change means slope. First, let's find 2 points in our line, which is this one and this one here. And we can use rise over run, or we can use our formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let's see what rise over run says. Start here. We have to go up 1, 2 units. And we have to go 1, 2, 3 to the left. Now because it's to the left, that makes our slope negative. You can also see that by the line. The line is going down from left to right. So that means that our slope should be negative. 2/3, negative 2/3, which is h. Moving on, number 9. Table shows Teresa's scores of math quizzes. Pattern continues, which equation describes the relationship between your score S and the total number of Q of questions on the quiz. Let's see which one of these matches. S is this, Q is these. So let's see, let's start plugging in and see if this is correct. S is 15, so we're going to use this one here. 15 equals 3 over 4 times 20. So this, 20 times 3 is 60, divided by 4 is 15. So far that's correct. Let's check this one. 15 equals 3 times q, which is 20 minus 4. 3 times 20 is 60 minus 4 is 56. 15 does not equal 56. That's not correct. Let's try D. It says 15 equals 4/3 times 20. 15 equals 4 times 20 is 80 divided by 3. The decimal doesn't reduce. It's not 15. B says that 20 equals 15 times 15. 20 equals 15 times 15 is 15 is 225, which does not equal 20. So that's not correct. Our answer is A. Number 10. In the floor plan of a house, a rectangular room is 9 inches wide and 13 inches long. So let's start with that. Rectangular room is 9 inches wide, 13 inches. Let's draw our rectangle. 9 inches wide and 13 inches long. If each 1 inch of the floor plan represented 1 foot of an actual house, what is the area of the room? So here it says that 1 inch of the floor plan represents 1 foot. Half an inch, sorry, represents 1 foot in the actual house. So let's calculate the area of this first. For area of a rectangle, it's length times width. In this case, it would be 13, 13 times 9. 13 times 9 is 90 plus 27, which is 117 inches. However, it says that half an inch represents 1 foot. So if we have 117 inches, then we have to multiply that by 2 to get the number of feet. So 117 times 2 is 100 times 2 is 200. 20 plus 14 is 234. The way I did this is I split 117 into 100 plus 10 plus 7, and I multiplied everything times 2. 2 times 100 is 200, 2 times 10 is 20, and 2 times 7 is 14. And I just add all the pieces together. 234 feet. second part of the homework. Number one says which equation represents the parent function of this graph. Um, so number one, we have to match the equation from our answer choices to the one that we're given here in our line. So we see here it's a line, so our parent function is f of x equals y equals x, and this one, the original one, looks something like this. So if we compare this one to this one has a slope of 1 over 1, and this one, we take 2 points, this one and this one. Our rise is 1, 2, 3, and our run is 1, 2. So that's our slope, 3 over 2. So from there, if we look at our answer choices, H, not a line, so that's not it. Y, G, has a slope of 1, and we're looking for 3 over 2, so that's not correct. And J has a slope of negative 1, so that's not correct. Answer choice F. Number 2, a function is given as a set of ordered pairs, which are these. Which set of values represents the domain of the function? The domain would be the x values. If we list them off here, -7, -2, 1, and 3. So this is -7, -2, 1, and 3. Which one would that be? -7, -2, 1, and 3. H is correct. Number 3. Which situation can be modeled by a linear function? The distance between a sailboat and the starting line as the boat sails a triangular course. The speed of a long distance runner from start of a race until the end. Rate of growth of a retirement fund with respect to initial investment and the number of years until retirement. The amount of soup needed with respect to a number of people being served. So A, the distance between a sailboat and the starting line as the boat sails a triangular course. So this, so if we start here and go here, it would have to, the sailboat would have to change courses, which would be nonlinear because the rate would have to stay the same, not A. B, the speed of a long distance runner at the start and of a race until the end. Again, the runner might change speed, so that is not correct. And the rate of growth of retirement fund with respect to initial investment and the number of years until retirement. So with investments, the investment can go up and can go down, go back up as well. So it's changing. So it's not C, and the amount of soup needed with respect to the number of people being served. So if you have 3 people, for example, you would need 3 soups. If you have 6, you would need 6 soups. So let's graph it. 4 soups, 4 people, you would need 4 soups. So 3 people, you need 3 soups. 2, you would need 2, and 1, you would need 1. Connecting the lines, straight line. And that's what we're looking for. D. Number 4. What is the equation of a line to the point -1, 7, and 3, -2? So here, if we want the equation of the line, that's y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. There are several ways you can do this. My favorite way is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y1 and x1 is just one of these 2 points, and then m would be the slope. So first let's calculate slope. Slope is -2 minus 7 over 3 minus -1. This is my 1, that's 2, and 1. Negative 2 minus 7 is negative 9, and 3 minus negative 1 is 4. So that's our slope. Now, plugging it back into here, we have y minus, let's see, which one should I choose? Let me choose that one. 3 equals the slope, which is negative 9 over 4 times x minus, and again, I'm choosing this point, so I have to stay with that negative 2. Y minus 3, multiply this out, using the distributive property, negative 9 over 4, x, and 9 over 4 times, this should be positive 2, minus a negative, becomes positive, negative 9 times 2 is 18, and then plus. Here we can reduce this to y minus 3 equals negative 9 over 4, x plus 2 goes into them, so it's 9 over 2. I'm going to add 3 to both sides, this becomes 0, and y equals negative 9 over 4, x plus 3 is the same thing as 6 over 2. 9 halves plus 6 halves is 15 halves. Ooh, I made a mistake somewhere. So here I made a mistake somewhere in trying to find my b. However, our slope is negative 9 over 4. And if we look at our answer choices, 3/4, 4/9, 9/4, and negative 9 over 4. So that's the only one that's correct so far. So let's choose that one. G is correct. Number 5. At what points does this graph intersect the x-axis and y-axis? So it's asking for the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. Here, the point here is 7, 0, so that's going to be our x-intercept. Here crosses at 17, right? 17 is our y value. Of course, our x value is 0. So that would be our y-intercept. So x-intercept is 7, 0, this one, and y-intercept is 0, 17. So B is correct. Number 6. A graph illustrates the equation y equals 5x minus 2. What happens if the graph of the value of b changes to 3? So instead of negative 2, we're going to have 3. So from negative 2 to get to 3, we have to go up 5 units. 5 up 3, 1. To get from negative 2 to 3, we have to increase by 5. So that would mean that our y-intercept becomes 3. Okay. The line becomes less steep. That's not true because we're not changing the slope. The y-intercept becomes negative 5. Not true because we're moving 3 units. Rather, we're changing the b, which is our y-intercept, to 3. So our y-intercept does become 3, not negative 5. The slope of 9 becomes 8. Not true because we're not changing the 5, which is our slope. Number 7. Harry needs to make copies of a report for his science class. Black and white copies cost 10 cents each, and color copies cost 39 cents each. Harry spent 23.40 at the copy shop. The equation that represents the situation. What does the c-intercept represent? So here, this would mean that if this was C and this was B, our axis, and here is where it crosses, that would mean that C equals represents the color copy. So that would mean that the number of color copies is 0. Let's see which one. The number of color copies are made. No black and white copies. That's true. The number of black and white copies made. Now I have this the other way around. C represents the number of color copies, and B is black and white copies. So he does make color copies, but he does not make any black copies. So no black copies. The number of color copies that Harry made. The number of color copies Harry made, and no black copies. That's true. The total cost of all copies. That's not true. The total number of copies Harry made. That's not true. And the number of black and white copies that Harry made. No copies. Not true. Number 8. In 2002, a band camp had 538 participants. In 2003, the number of participants was 512. The number of participants continues to decrease at the same number each year. What is the reasonable project of the number of band camp participants in 2008? So in 2002, it was 538. 2003, it was 512. And we want to know, when was 2008? So if it decreased by, let's see, how much did it decrease by? 538 minus 512 is 2 by 26 in 1 year. And from 2003 to 2008 is 5 years. And if it decreases by the same amount, so that means I have to multiply this by 5 years. 26 5 is 130. So it decreased by 130 more from 512. So now I have to subtract those 130 from 512. 512 minus 130, 2, 1, 8, 382 feet. So this is the last part of the homework. Number 1 says the choir needs at least $800, and they already have $150 towards that goal. During homecoming week, they are raising money by charging $5 to deliver singing telegrams, which inequality best represents the minimum amount they still need to raise R in terms of the number of singing telegrams S they deliver. Telegrams S, they need 800. They need at least 800, so they can raise more than that. Because 800 less than or equal to what they already have, which is $150, plus the money that they make delivering singing telegrams, which is $5 each. Yes. And the remainder, which is plus R. So $150 is the amount they already have. 5S is the amount that they charge per singing telegram, and R is the remainder that they need to complete the $800. So if we solve for R, we have to get R all by itself, so we move everything else to the other side of the inequality sign, the same way that we do for equations. So first, let's subtract 150 minus 150, 800 minus 150 is less than or equal to 5s plus R. Now R still isn't by itself, so we have to subtract 5s, subtract 5s, and we're left with 800 minus 150 minus 5s is less than or equal to R. Compared to our answers. Here, our answer choices are R is on the other side, so let's switch that. This is R, and we have to switch this side is greater than or equal to 800 minus 150 minus 5s. Let's see if it matches. Let's see. 800 minus 150 minus 5s plus 5s. No, not B.
Should be A.
Not B, not C, and not D. It should be A. If we combine 800 minus 150, it should be 650 minus 5s. No, it should be this way. Okay. Number 2. Stacy spent $31.75 to buy 2 cups of soup and 3 sandwiches. Ryan spent $35.75 on 4 sandwiches and 1 cup of soup. If C represents the cost of cup of soup and S represents the cost of a sandwich, which system of equations could you use to determine the cost of a sandwich? So, Stacy, let's start with Stacy up first. She spent $31 to buy 2 cups of coffee, 2 cups of soup, sorry, and 3 sandwiches. So we said that C was soup, so 2C, plus, and the sandwiches was S, so 3S equals a total of $31.75. That's for Stacy. And now let's do Ryan. Ryan spent a total of $35.75 on 4 sandwiches, so that's 4S, and 1 cup of soup, 1C. We add those for the total. Let's see which one matches. So 2C plus 3S is 31.75, right? So far. 1C is the same thing as just C. Plus 4S equals 35.75. Yep. Let's see what's wrong with this one. 2C plus 3S equals 35.75. No, it should be 31.75. 2S plus 3C equals, no, it should not be 2S, it should be 2C. That's not correct. And 3C, nope, not correct. A. Number 3. Zero wants to create a dog run that attached to the side of the house. As shown, Gerald wants the width of the dog to run to be half as long as the length. If Gerald already has 42 feet of fence, which inequality should he use to determine the width of the dog run? All right. So the amount of material that he has to work with is a total of 42 feet of fence. That should be numbers. Gerald wants the width to be half as long as the length. So the width has to be half as long as the length. Length is also width. So it should be, if we add all the sides together, it'll be L plus L plus W plus W, and we have 42 to work with. So this needs to be less than or equal to 42. Now W, he wants it to be half the side of the length, so we substitute in 1 half L for W, we get L plus L plus 1 half L plus 1 half L, L plus L, 2L, and 1 half L plus 1 half L is supposed to be 3L. Oh, no, sorry about that. It should be the other way around. We want the width to be half the length. So this should be W over 2, W over 2, W over 2, W over 2. And that's not correct. L plus L is 2L. And 1 half L plus 1 half L is, I'm sorry, 1 half W plus 1 half W is 1W. mistake here, guys. You see here, this is the side of the house, so we don't need to add that part here. So that we're not adding. Instead of W, we're just going to have 1 half W. So our inequality is 42 is greater than or equal to 2L plus 1 half W, which is this one right here, F. Number 4, Tanisha crochets scarves and shawls to sell at a craft fair. During one weekend, she sold 2 scarves and 1 shawl for $8 on Saturday and sold 1 scarf and 2 shawls for $7 on Saturday. Let R represent the cost for each scarf and W represent the cost for each shawl. Then this system of equation could be used to solve for R, which is C. What are the value of R and W? So there's 2 ways you can do this. Let's do this by substitution. Here, if we were to solve for R, we have to subtract 2W, subtract 2W, and we're left with R equals 7 minus 2W. So in our first one, we're going to substitute in R for this part here. So that'll look like this. 2, and we're going to substitute 7 minus 2W plus W equals 8. Distribute the 2. It's 14 minus 2 times 2W is 4W. And F plus W equals 8. Minus 4W plus W is negative 3W. 8 minus 14 on both sides. 3W equals 8 minus negative 14 is negative 6. Divide out negative 3. And we're left with W equals negative 6 divided by negative 3 is positive 2. So W equals 2. Now that we have that one, we can substitute in the second one, which is this one here, and we have R equals 7 minus 2W, 2 times W, which is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. So R equals 3. So it's R equals 3 and W equals 2, which is D. Number 5. The student council is selling tulips, carnations, and roses. Each tulip costs 3 times as much as the carnation. That's important. And twice as much as a rose. Twice as much as a rose. Justin spent $28.50 on 2 tulips, 10 carnations, and 2 roses. What is the price of a tulip? So let's call tulips T, carnation C, and roses R. Each tulip costs 3 times as much as a carnation. So a tulip T costs 3 times as much as a carnation, 3C. And the tulip also costs twice as much as a rose, 2R. Justin spent $28.50 on 2 tulips, $28.50 on 2 tulips, 10 carnations. So if she bought 10 carnations, a tulip costs 3 times as much. So it's like she paid for 30 tulips and 2 roses. Roses cost tulips cost twice as much as roses, so it's like she paid for 4 roses. Sorry about that, guys. Let's start over. So tulips is C, carnations is C, and roses is R. The tulip costs 3 times as much as the carnation, so that would mean that every tulip you buy a third of a carnation, and similarly, twice as much of a rose. So for every rose For every tulip, sorry, you buy half a rose. It's like you're paying for half a rose. So if you get 10 carnations, then that would mean, let's skip this one for now, guys. So number 6, at a pizza restaurant, Mason earned $7.25 per hour to deliver pizzas and $9 per hour to make the pizza. 1 week he earned $288.75 if he made pizzas for 20 hours a week. What is the reasonable number of hours that he spent delivering pizzas? Total of 288.5. Deliver pizzas, $7.25. Call that D. And $9 per hour to make pizza. And it says that he spent 20 hours making pizza. 9. 20 times 9 is 180. 288 and 5 equals 725 D plus 180. I'm trying to find D. Subtract 180. Subtract 180. 108.5 cents equals 725 D. So if you worked 1 hour, that would mean that 108.75 equals 7.25, which is not true. That's not correct. Here, 7.25 times 5 is about 35-ish. It's not quite there. 6 times 7 is about 42-ish. It's not quite there. And 15 hours is about 75. 35 is 1, 20. It's closer to